What's up, guys, and welcome to the Real Happy Hour podcast. My name is Ola, and I'm so happy to have back on the show Jamel and Sope. The hell is Sope? I'll start over again. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Happy Hour podcast. My name is Ola, and I'm so happy that you've all tuned into the show. We have returning guests. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Jamel, second name Smith, journalist. I write and do other stuff.
Incredible writer on my site.
Thank you very much, Sope. Thank you.
My name's Sope, and I'm a true crime YouTuber, writer on occasion. I'm happy to be back here with you all.
I'm so happy to have you guys back. This is your third time back, so yes.
Third, we're regulars. It's like a regular.
We should have this. This should be a regular thing.
It's just a regular
thing. We should have
thing.
someone else coming that we speak to.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
I actually had that. There was meant to be one extra person to come.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she couldn't make it. But it's all cool. So today we are speaking about. We're gonna have a conversation about They Cloned Tyrone, which is a Netflix movie.
Everything okay in there, baby?
This science fiction comedy mystery film is directed by Joe Taylor in his feature film directional debut. What do we think about the movie? Let's just get into it.
I actually liked it. I did have a great optimism about it when it started, but it's kind of reminded me of a Jordan Peele film.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it, and I think they done a good job. Kind of doing emulating a kind of Jordan Peele-esque type of film. So yeah.
I absolutely loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd give it quite high up in my ratings. I'd give it maybe a 9 out of 10. I really was moved by it. I think there's just so many layers to it. And I think there's just so much to discuss, so I'm actually quite excited for this.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a really good movie, and it felt like the universe of a similar movie that I had seen by Keith Stanfield. Something like The Happy to See Us or something like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've actually seen it, but I know what you're talking about with Keith Stanfield.
It felt like it was the same universe as that, where there's some sort of propaganda that's being propagated by the power, and we're all just puppets in there.
Yeah, he's always in that. Well, I haven't watched that, but he sounds like he's always in those kind of films.
Keith, because he was in Get Out and everything and all that. Yeah, true.
But I agree with you, Jamel. I think it gave me Jordan Peele vibes. I actually thought Jordan Peele wrote it, but when I looked into it, obviously he didn't. But it very much gave me that vibe.
Yeah, it really did. It reminded me of a lot of was it Nope? A little bit as well, There was like 2 main characters in Nope, but like the 3 of them, and everything, kind of going on a journey and everything. Yeah. I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And I like the premise of the whole movie happening in the hood. It's not your regular movie where it's someone working somewhere, or it's like in the hood. It's like Boys in the Hood, sci-fi. Thriller.
No, I know exactly what you mean, because then I think the direction that I would have assumed that the film was going in, because I didn't want to do any research prior to watching it, so I wanted to just take it for what it was. And then I think initially what I thought the sort of concept and storyline would be, the ending was just so different. Well, quite early on you realise that it's not just some Boys in the Hood type of vibe. It takes you it goes on a different trajectory quite quickly. But the first let's say 10 minutes when he's going to look for his money with Jamie Foxx, I've forgotten the name of his character. I thought it was just that kind of
slick something.
Do you know what? We always have this conversation.
But his name was Slick. His name was Slick.
No, to be fair, if it's a big character like Jamie Foxx or John Boyega, I'm always going to call them Jamie Foxx and John Boyega. Yeah, but when he went to, I think, as you said, Slick's house asking for his money, I thought, okay, it's like a drug movie. And yeah, it just wasn't that. Well, it just wasn't solely that, and I really liked that. As you said,
That's why I was scared, because I was like, if this is another hood movie, I'm just like. Yeah.
And then the like sort of obvious ghetto name Tyrone. Sorry, Tyrone. But like the obvious ghetto name Tyrone, and it's like so obviously it's
Tyrone. And even at the end, you know, when they had Erica Boo's Tyrone, like let me call Tyrone.
I loved that.
Who was Fontaine?
Fontaine was Tyrone.
Well,
but that's his street name, Fontaine.
Oh, but his real name is Tyrone.
No. Yeah, so the real character name is Tyrone.
No, Tyrone was the one at the end.
That's
in
what
LA.
I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah. He was just a variation of that person, that profile.
Okay. So the character's name is Fontaine. Okay, Fontaine. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Really, the end was really shocking too.
Yeah, I love that.
Wasn't expecting that. So it just means there's that.
You want to go into chronological order?
Okay, because we jump into the
end. Yeah, because we're already jumping to the meats and potatoes of things. But yeah, we can go chronological order.
Well, I guess we did start at the beginning, just sort of like the direction we thought the film was going in. But yeah, going deeper into that, but just to that initial, it wasn't the initial scene, but one of the earlier scenes where he's in, I don't know if it's like his not a trap house, I don't know if he's like in a brothel or whatever, Jamie Foxx's place, when he's the interaction to me was really interesting, the way they interacted with each other. So obviously Jamie Foxx's character is like this big pimp, he's an older pimp as well, so then you have that like relational dynamics where Jamie Foxx is older, and he's given him the respect as an older pimp in the game. However, he's in a position of power whereby you owe me money. So it's like he's coming in, he's not necessarily being like physically aggressive, like beating him up or anything, or like cussing him, but he's still like sort of imposing and like invading his privacy by going through his stuff because he's like entitled to his money. And
he was like, Jamie Foxx was like, oh, you need to respect
but he's given him some element of respect, because if someone was like maybe his equal, he might deal with it differently, beat him up.
Yeah, we saw him run the guy over.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I think it was interesting that the positioning of them, like, even though he's respecting him, but he's disrespecting him in a different way. It was just interesting for me to observe that.
Yeah, then after him getting shot, I was just like, is this Game of Thrones? Like, the main character dies
exactly.
Like the first few minutes. I was like, it was giving Game of Thrones, and I was like thinking of the title, okay. They cloned us?
Yeah.
Or who cloned Tyrone? Or They Cloned Tyrone?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh wait, there's a cloning part, so he's going to come back alive somehow. And
I was confused though, like I didn't know what was going on. Like, okay, so is this like a butterfly effect kind of movie where he's just repeating?
The same
I thought so as well, because then it was like, the day repeated itself. Exactly. He went to the shop, he saw the drunkard outside, like the same chronology. But then I also thought that was interesting as well, because that sort of speaks to the monotony of like people that live in that world. It speaks to them. I guess in every socioeconomic setting, there's that monotony where you go to work, you come home. But for him, it's like he goes to the shop, gets some beer, goes home, and that's happening every day. It's interactions with the same people, and it's like, and when we think about the film more broadly, you sort of see that he's kept in that same place, but even in his day to day, like he just fulfills that same very trivial goal. I think that's interesting.
And even the lady, I can't remember her name now.
Shout out to her, Teyonah Parris.
Like
she played amazing. Yeah,
she was trying to get out of the movie. Like she kept, her goal was to go to Memphis or somewhere. And, she was trying to save up money. Yeah, it was probably never happen because she was using
means that is not not everyone would do, but. Yeah. I appreciated it, what she was doing and stuff.
I like how they depicted that they're not just from the hood, like they're smart, they figure it out. And I like when characters like that are able to save the day. Like in Nope 2, for example, where it's the unlikely brother and sister that, save the day, and they just come up with a solution. And one of the things I noticed early on in the movie was she was holding this book, and I Googled it, and it's a Nancy Drew book.
The children's book. That's what was mentioned.
The Hidden Staircase. And so she played the Nancy Drew character all over.
It was like a motif. Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually good, as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little
The little things, and I bet if we watch it again, there'll be things we see
again. Yeah.
It was such a charged film. I really did like it, I must say.
There's so much historical analysis that could be done on it as well.
It feels like it could be real, right?
It literally could. I was thinking about so many things. I was thinking about the Reagan era in America and other things like that, and it's just like, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
The crack cocaine.
The crack cocaine and how basically the black or minority ghettos in America are essentially invented.
Yeah, and even some things are actually real, in terms of that actually happens, the chemicals found in the perming thing.
Yeah, it was all little moments. Yeah, that's all proven. Yeah.
Anyway, and who uses that? It's only a white person with straight hair has no reason to straighten their hair with perm. It's only black people that are permanent. So that's something. And I found that interesting as well because I watched it with my boyfriend and obviously immediately after you to discuss what you've just watched. And I was thinking it's so interesting that obviously people of other races have access to these things, so it's not really a dangerous game, but it's a dangerous game they're playing because it can affect other people. But obviously, the majority of people that indulge in the things that they sort of tampered with are going to be black people. So Asians, white, whoever have no reason to perm their hair. Mm-hmm. Even the stereotypes of black people love chicken,
have the fried chicken there and everything. Yeah,
so obviously other people eat fried chicken, but obviously it's just played into that stereotype. What was it? I can't remember. There was the chicken. There was the
perm and music.
So these are things
at the club. Yeah, that was actually crazy.
So those are things that are almost exclusive to black people. So it's that's just very unobvious. I don't think that's the word, but unobvious ways of controlling. You wouldn't immediately think, they're going to control me through that, but.
That music part really struck a chord because I think black people have a different relationship with music. We're very connected. The rhythm we do when we listen to music, we have a deeper connection to music, and it could be an easy system of being controlled. It's an easy vessel of being controlled. Because even there were scenes where they were in that lab and they were playing music. They played rap music and the two guys were fighting, and they played a loving music and they were happy and.
I don't think that was I think they were just playing on a right-wing viewpoint of where this forms of hip hop, drill or whatever are violent music and it promotes violent acts. I think they were kind of playing on that, not necessarily saying that actually does that, but it's just this is what the wider kind of white society thinks that what happens with drill and hip hop and other forms of rap music.
I disagree.
I think it does. I think
they were playing with that.
I think maybe they touched on that, but I don't think that was the premise of that of them doing that to those two individuals. Because I think even if they played obviously those people, the profile of person or profile of that character probably doesn't listen to rock. But I think if you did the same thing with white people who were stuck in that situation and you played rock versus if you played I don't know, some Lana Del Rey, the reactions would be very different. So I think that's just the human mind. That's just how it works. If you're gonna get pumped and aggressive, if you're being told I don't know, shoot that. I don't know. Can I swear?
Music definitely affects.
Can I swear?
You can.
I say it affects, but to a point, they were portraying they were playing a form of hip hop music. I don't know which one it was. I think it was maybe trap, but it sounded a little bit drillish.
Yeah.
To the point of literally fighting because of that, because you're listening. Then after you're playing, it changes to R&B and soul, and now the two guys are hugging. I think it was just it was over exaggerated. So I think they were making a point as if this is not really and they were playing a point of the viewpoints of drill causing violence, that's causing stabbings in the UK, in London. That's not actually the reason why these people these young kids are stabbing each other.
Yeah, but it influences the culture. The music influences people, and there's a lot of people who are hearing these violent things, the N-word, for example. I'm Nigerian. That's not something we grew up with, and we now to sort of present ourselves as cool. Some of us are not saying the N-word, and that's just an example. But I think definitely music affects the way people live, and Violent music definitely does.
The extent is up for debate, but I agree. I think it does affect the way people conduct themselves.
I'm against that. I'm against that. You know,
I think it's obviously exaggerated in media, like, drill's making this person go out and want to stab someone. That's obviously very like hyperbolic, but I think generally speaking, like, it will like, even on a small level, influence your mood. That's for sure. Like, if I'm in a mood to clean, I'm not listening to.
But influencing violence acts, I just think it's a bit too far fetched, because like if you look at like. What are these people coming and going into schools or going into schools in America shooting up kids and stuff? What are they listening to?
Yeah, but then I think also, I guess we've gone away from the film.
Oh yeah, we got to politics now. Sorry.
I think if you're already inclined to carry out violent acts, I think that just further reinforces that ideology for one, and it sort of encourages that behaviour. If you're already inclined, if I just woke up and lived my normal life, drill's not going to make me stab someone, but there's obviously other, like, I don't know, there's other, like, I don't know, what word am I looking for? There's other reasons why people kill, but that just further reinforces that, basically.
But like, I'm even thinking of this rap song by Tupac, I think it was called Get Money, and at the end he was calling out a lot of the bad boy guys. You know, he was calling them out and he was cursing at them. Someone from that camp could have been like, oh wow, this guy is really moving mad.
It's called Hit 'Em Up. I love
Hit 'Em
that
Up.
song.
That is a good song though. Like, that was a good diss track. That was a really, really good. Like,
so that could incite violence, you know.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to though, but he was like directly wanting to incite violence.
Yeah, I think that's
like,
a bit more direct.
That was direct. That was direct to,
I think
like,
because,
what was it, the East versus West kind of thing,
whoever's
West Coast
the
versus East Coast
gang
thing in the 90s.
That, you see that, like, that influences violence.
No, but I even think on a smaller scale, if someone's not like direct, if let's say like I'm not in a gang, but I'm like in that world, I still think if I listen to that kind of music, it would encourage me to be violent, even though it's not directed at me. I just think it's,
Maybe. I just think there's other bigger factors.
No, of course.
That makes you do.
I also think, like, the way, like, we're kind of going away from the movie.
Yeah, we are. Let's go.
But I'll just quickly reference this part where we like to think that art imitates life, but the way I'm seeing a lot of the content being produced, it's life imitating art. And so there's a lot of things that happen that we're seeing on TV and movies, and then they start happening in real life. And we've got things like that with The Simpsons, where it seems like they're predicting things and they're happening. And The Truman Show, for example, it sort of mirrors this one in a way, because, you know, there's a system that's in control of this man's life and everyone is watching, similar to They Cloned Tyrone, where, you know, there's a system in place and the powers above are ensuring that system is in place and they're watching that system and then duplicating that same system throughout the country in different cities. So, yeah.
I've never watched that.
The Truman Show changed my... You probably shouldn't watch it because it really will probably mess you up.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Oh, The Truman Show is a Jim Carrey movie where it's basically like he's in Big Brother without knowing he's in Big Brother.
I've seen it on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
I saw like clips on TikTok.
His whole life was a movie and he didn't know that everyone was a cast. Until he figured it out at the end and then he found a way to leave. But
yeah, I saw that on TikTok.
everyone, his mom, dad, best friend, girlfriend, ex, everyone, they were all actors.
But then that's sort of like in They Cloned Tyrone as well a little bit, because this was a really profound part when I was watching it, and a really moving part when he found out that his mum was just like
a recorder.
Yeah. And then I was like, in my mind, I was like, how is this kept up? Like, how is he? I guess, as I said, it goes back to the monotony of the day. Like, he just doesn't interact with her. He's like that level of interaction where he offers her food, she says she's fine. That will suffice. Like, that's enough for him.
And it's kind of mad. Like, he didn't think to open up the door until then.
Because I think he's just put there to like serve a very trivial purpose, not there for.
And he always wakes up back at that spot. So he probably dies a lot, and it goes back to that same spot. But he just realized there was a difference because of that Jamie Foxx. So
that's so crazy though, because it's like this might, I'm not trying to be GA4 trying to, because maybe you guys will see it differently, but it just speaks to how like people in high positions, I don't want to generalise, but the people in high positions see black people as like, in general, or maybe poor black people, because they don't like care for his like emotions or like how he feels about being in that situation. It doesn't matter to them as long as he's there to serve the purpose for their agenda. And it's like for him that's all the family he had, and it's heartbreaking that she was just a recording. Like it's also like disrupts your sense of identity as well, because who even is he? His mum's a recording. His brother, he basically doesn't have a brother. He never really existed for him anyway. He never grew up with a brother, and it's like this whole identity crisis of like, who even is he? And it's like when he felt sort of deflated and defeated, and he didn't want to like, generally like sort of opted out of like the uprising. I think that was such a real moment, because that's so understandable, because it's just sort of this like he's fulfilling that prophecy that they've sort of put upon him, like, you're just nothing anyway, like who am I to even go up against them, and he sort of accepted that.
To piggyback on your great analysis, that's why you got the first class degree in
English.
But to piggyback off that, I think that they meant that for the whole of what was this, the town called Glen? Glen. For the whole town of Glen, like they want black people to stay in those ghettos and not to escape. For some reason or factor, like relating to real life, I think there's not a way of to get that social mobility to like rise up, because there's always something, and especially for black Americans in America, living in America.
You keep your pimp hand raised and be willing to protect the ones you love by any means necessary. So
I think, again, highlighting to a real life point of talking about the American kind of system or social mobility, how it's basically invented and created to keep black Americans and black people in America at the bottom, and there's not many levels for them to get out of social mobility, and that's enforced through like state education, state health, welfare, etc., etc., etc. So there's not many options for black Americans historically and now presently to get out of the so-called hood. There is opportunities, but for the few, not for the many. I think in most cases, and I think that's what the movie was highlighting on, with keeping everyone in that town so no one leaves, and they have just their experimentation, and they just continue with whatever plan they have for them. So that's speaking to them like it's like your will and your self-determination is not yours; it's America's.
Also, that's just not enough. Like, you can be as determined as you want, but then if there's like literally a whole system, sorry, I don't know if you mean, if there's a whole system that's against you, I don't think that you're being a determined individual.
There's only so much you can do. Yeah, I think that's what they were getting on, and I loved how they kind of outsmarted them. Like, they were thinking, okay, these people are dumb, they have no chance, so let me not kill them. Let me leave them there, because they have no chance of getting out this hood and getting out of Glen. But they had their own, with their own self-determination, their own kind of intelligence to say, all right, let's team up together as a community, as a town, as a collective, and let's outsmart them.
Yeah, and I think that also, it just goes to show that, like, as an individual, you can be determined, and you can have strong will and think, I can get it, I want to get out of here. But then that's just not enough. But it's when they sort of joined forces joined their brains that they were able to outsmart them and effectively get out. But then also, what I was thinking as well is that, when you said that they didn't kill them in that moment because they're not going to do it, they're not going to get out anyway. It was also because they need them alive. They can replace them, but whether it's them or the next version of them, they need that profile of person alive for the functions of of their society. Like, they need them to remain at the bottom. So that was really
and it's kind of mad because they needed violence, they needed prostitution, they needed drug addiction, they needed all these kind of social ills to kind of further their purpose. And it's just such a direct, and I love the like relationship with that and real life and the history of America and whatever. Yeah, they done an amazing job with that. And I also, to the point of them inventing these ghettos, like, remember he says, oh yeah, this experimentation is also going on in Los Angeles, in Chicago. And, you know, those are kind of like, traditionally, I think what everyone knows as the hood, you know, cities in America. And I think this movie is telling, like, no, like, the black community or black Americans did not just, you know, come up and want to be in this ghetto and be, you know, involved in this drug addiction. Like, it's actually an invention, because before 1960s, 1970s, there was forms of high crime, drug addiction, prostitution was not going about in the black community, in black American communities like that at all. Even in other American countries, even like Jamaica or places like Colombia, violence wasn't like that. And then suddenly, I don't know the reason why, I'm just going on what Akala says, the rapper, also a historian. But he's saying, like, basically, there was a sudden increase in violence in the 1970s across many countries in the Americas. And in black communities in America, and minority communities in America, Jamaica, etc., Colombia, because it was not like that. And suddenly the 70s came and the violence was popping for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, it's all just talking about how it's an invention. Then you had the relation between the white powder and that being, he thought it was crack, he thought it was cocaine at first. And kind of them putting that in the fried chicken was, I don't know the relation. I was thinking there was some sort of relation there, like maybe like just to get them hot and addicted to the fried chicken. Like, because remember that, because that form of powder was making them like giddy and happy and laughing all the time. I don't, like, it was this weird kind of, also, kind of blackfacey thing, like, you know, like, okay, like, black people love fried chicken, so you're going to eat this fried chicken and you're going to get giddy and happy. And that's what makes black people happy. That's what it's.
If that was
the
the case and they didn't need the sprinkly thing, the chicken alone would make them happy. I think it was more so like, let's say you have a group of drunk people that are like intoxicated in some sort of way. I think they're much easier to control than someone who's like alert, like who's not drunk, who's not like happy, who's actually concentrating like on, I don't know, real life. If they're just happy and laughing off of the chicken or whatever it may be, like if you're intoxicated, you're just easier to control. So if they're like, the stereotype is like black people love chicken, they're constantly eating chicken, then they're constantly intoxicated and therefore easy to control.
There you go.
Well, that's...
Can we talk a bit about the characters and their relationships? Like, the Paris lady and Jamie Foxx. It feels like they have history there. Yes, she's a poker and all of that, but it felt like there was an underlying sort of theme
respect,
of, like, emotional
love
bond that they both had for each other.
Yeah, I loved their relationship.
And also Tyrone and that little boy. I felt like he mirrored what could possibly be the relationship he had with his brother.
Yeah, even him like giving him the advice like, oh, stay in school or whatever he said, I can't remember. Something to that effect, like he didn't want this life for him. That's like something you tell like your younger brother or someone you obviously cared about. So yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. Like his sort of impression of what his relationship would be like with his little brother, that was sort of that, like not the manifestation of that, but I guess that in physical form, like that's the person who's presently there, and he represented his little brother for him. But then, sorry to take back to our previous point, but even like I don't know. Well, to be fair, it was confirmed that that's how his brother died. But the fact that I guess we'll get there. But the guy that at the end wanted them to maintain that memory that the brother was killed by the police, like that just is gonna like sort of arouse that anger towards the police. And then if you obviously hate the police, then you're gonna be you're never gonna have a good relationship with someone that you hate. So they're constantly gonna act out, and the police are gonna, it's just it sort of like reinforces that relationship. So I found it interesting that was like the one memory that they wanted to have. Like he never knew his brother, but in his mind he thinks that the police killed someone that he loves. So naturally he's going to act out towards the police. But in regards to Jamie Foxx's character and what's her name?
Slick.
Yo-Yo. Slick and Yo-Yo.
Slick and Yo-Yo. There you go, Yo-Yo.
It's like two extremes because on one end, when John Boyega's
Tyrone Fontaine.
John Boyega's character. I stop calling them their actual names. So when Fontaine is coming to Jamie Foxx to get his money, Yo-Yo's obviously just had an argument with Slick. And then she sees Fontaine on the way out, and then she's like, it's room, blah, blah, blah. So she's obviously knows that he's there for his money and, you know, things could go left. And she's willingly given that information, ready for him to die, basically. Like, if he dies, she's content with that. But then on the flip side, there's this, like, immense love that she feels towards him. And it's like two extremes. It's interesting. I liked the relationship. Well, as toxic as it is, it was very entertaining.
It was toxic, but I think there was like some love there or some level of respect there. And yeah, I love how even though Yo-Yo's Alyssa as a prostitute, and was that her pimp? Correct.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And that being like her pimp, like how she kind of came on the same level of kind of sharing the power dynamic between the relationship. There was no one actually less than, like, she was right on his level.
Yeah. And
telling him what to do, telling him she's stupid and etc. 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 So yeah, I love that. Yo was that girl.
She definitely
was that girl.
The stereotype of a prostitute. And I don't know why I thought that movie was like a time, like in the 70s initially. Before watching it, I thought
it was like an 80s time period kind of thing, but it was actually present.
So she breaks that stereotype of a prostitute who's smart, who stands up for herself, who's you know, she's right there with the man, with the pimp, whoever.
I think it was powerful that they all contributed different things as well. Like, I think she was definitely like the brains. Slick was maybe more like
Slick.
Yeah, like
he was slick.
Yeah, I think he was more like logistics and processing, like what's logical. And then John Boyega, I think he had the fight, like that aggression, that passion, like whether it was logical or not, he was just gonna do it. So they all like equally contributed in different ways.
Can we talk about that plan a bit? Because that plan, it starts from the beginning of the movie, right? Like, so every time John Boyega Fontaine dies, he goes back to that very beginning, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So can we just talk about that plan and how it came together and how, you know, they like the way they used their resources and the prostitutes and how they communicated all the plans to each other and were able to execute that plan. Like, any feelings about that? Any thoughts about, you know, how they were able to pull that off?
I don't think it goes back to the beginning. I think they just drop in a new one of him. So like, I don't know. I think his life is just like repetitive anyway. But I think it's just a new version of him. But I think what I found so interesting as well, it just goes to show like how trivial. Like, let's say they're gang beef, even though someone like he had literally been the other guy, had been the one to shoot him. But like that's so trivial compared to like what's going on in the grand scheme of things. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Like getting the prostitutes involved, the other gang members involved, and I think
it's just saying, like, you know, these people that live in hood, they are much more smarter than you actually think. Like, it's actually smart to get money, to be on the streets, and to even sell yourselves and make that some form of business. There's actually an intelligence there.
I think aside from intellect, I also think it's like you don't recognise like the power you possess. The power they have, like, and the power they possess. Even if like someone's not as intelligent as the other person, like you just hold value in being yourself. Like even if you're just seen as a pawn in the game, you remove that pawn and that just changes the game. So it's like you just have to recognise the power you hold and like being in your own position.
Yeah, shout out to all the drug dealers.
Hey, I don't know what's going on. This last minute.
No, but actually, they're actually.
Yeah, no.
Actually, they're kind of smart. They actually are kind of smart and good businessmen and women. They are.
I'm not promoting that on these guys. Let's focus on the movie, please. And you know, even though like Tyrone Fontaine died and he was obviously shot by them guys, when they saw him, they were not overly surprised that he was alive. Like, they were like, "Whoa, you're alive!" But they still kind of just moved on with the fact that he was alive. They didn't hold that. It's like, why were they like not so moved by that? fact, Jamie Foxx went crazy when he saw him, but the others were just like, maybe they thought he was wearing a vest. Maybe, well.
To be fair, I didn't really think too much into that. I think maybe because they just do it every day. Like that's just the way of their way of life.
Even when like Yo-Yo was telling the story and she was like, yeah, I saw like the car run off and when Fontaine went in the car and stuff and she had shots, but she thought it was Fontaine, so she never thought anything of it. It was just like so normalized, that sort of violence. It was so normalized. She was just like, okay, like this is a normal day, like I'm good with it, I'm not going to think anything of it. Then afterwards, she was like, even when she was like, he actually died and everything, she was kind of shocked, but not. Yeah. I think she was more relieved that he was actually dead. But I haven't really thought about that. But yeah, it's actually a good thinking point, actually.
So let's go to the end now. Do we like how we end? Or do we feel like there's going to be a part 2? Do we want a part 2? Is it fine?
I think there's something we haven't touched on that we sort of revealed at the end, is that Fontaine, well, the original Fontaine obviously is a black person and he's in on this this game or this system that they've created, and I think that I won't say it undermines all the points we made, but everything I felt towards the film, like, these powerful white people are doing this to the black community, XYZ, him sort of being implicit in that process and that system of like keeping black people down, I think that sort of undermined that, because, and it goes to, and he's made it a comment, he said, well, to do XYZ I had to make a deal with the devil, and I think
so. It's still not him controlling it.
I know, but then I feel like
pawn in the game.
But then I also feel like I don't know, when there's that general consensus amongst black people, like, we're being oppressed by this person, and then if you feel so strongly about that, it's always interesting to me when there's, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but the Uncle Tom that steps aside and joins forces to further oppress black people. And then also him seeing that that's basically himself. Like,
I don't think it counteracts our points. Like, I don't want to go too much into history, but we as a black people, as most black people of African descent across the world, we're colonized people. Like, we have a colonial mindset, and that colonial mindset is not in the benefit of people like us. That's in the benefits of white supremacy, and that's the ideal. So if some people go on the side of, let me join the Republicans, not saying that's wrong because I want to be impartial, but it's wrong. But anyways, go on the side of, I want to, go with the Republicans, I want to be a conservative. I think that's something that's not out of the range. It's not shocking to me. We are colonized people. That's not shocking to me. Like, if there's people like that, that's not shocking to me. And most of us anyways, and most of our family members hold conservative views anyways. Socially conservative views, whether it's based on class, whether it's based on sexuality or different forms of that. We are conservative in that viewpoint as well. I think many of us, and especially people who are West Indian or African, West African, etc. So I don't think like it's surprising or shocking to me.
Fair enough. I think I'm not going to say it complete, like it just means the point is invalid, but I think it definitely does take away from that observation, in my opinion, because I was so like I don't know, maybe it just shook up my perspective a little bit on the film. But I never have any sympathy for an Uncle Tom, I'm sorry. So whether or not, like, it makes sense because we're colonised people, not good enough.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's as sympathy, but I'm just saying, like...
And I think it's very individualistic as well.
It's like individualism and all of that, yeah.
And I'm glad they killed him as well, because the power... I don't know, the reason they were able to sort of overturn the system was when they joined together, and I feel like the Uncle Tom person... Sorry, he's not even Uncle Tom, sorry, Fontaine, the original Fontaine, or Tyrone, the reason... it only served him as an individual for him to... I guess make a deal with the devil. So maybe it was even good that they did that, because they showed that you're not serving the people, then the people just won't serve you.
Yeah.
I think
I definitely don't. Tyrone, I have no sympathy. Like, I think, this was a shocking thing. Like, he went, like, something bad happened to him, and instead of, like, let me see this from a different viewpoint. He just decided, okay, let me just see it from the viewpoint of a white supremacist system to say, like, okay, like, we need to do something about this black community. And I think the ultimate goal was, what was the ultimate goal? Because he had the black person, he was, like, gradually turning white. And he was basically saying the problem we have is the hair. And I think what he was talking about, the ultimate goal was basically to turn these black people white.
He said,
because Fontaine was like, I saw like the end of your experiment with the tech guy, and the tech guy was the guy, the start where he was white and he had like the afro hair. That was the point of thing. Like, it was trying to. The whole thing is basically, we want to turn you guys white. I need that. Then basically, white is right.
He said something about assimilation. He was like,
and assimilation. That's what he talks about as well.
I can't remember. He basically said, I can't remember exactly verbatim what he said, but he said something like, he just homogenizing, like, we should all be one race. I think that was the end goal of it. He said that if there is no, he said the thing that happened with his little brother, where he was shot by the police because he was black, wouldn't happen if everyone was the same race. So they're trying to
homogenize it as a whole white race. Wow. Then after he was like, the only problem we have is the hair. I was like, wow, okay. So what's the perm thing? They was trying to actually get the perm to actually work and to be permanent or something to get the hair straight. Anyways, I'm thinking about that.
Have some kind of
ulterior
where he was sort of controlling their mind or something.
Oh, okay.
Like, they were more fatalistic. Like, she was like, she was complaining at first, and then they put the perm in her hair, and she was like, maybe it's just me. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're just constantly subdued, like whether it's the chicken making you constantly happy, whether it's the perm making you really like fatalistic, it's like if you're constantly subdued in that state, you're just easier to control.
Is that some sort of commentary on our state of mind where we're just not calm, and there needs to be some sort of something to calm our energy a bit down? I mean, obviously, in the movie, it's to be controlled, but is there some sort of commentary on our energy just being a bit?
I think, I don't know. I think maybe
our energy like as black people.
Yeah, as black people.
Yeah, I think we're calm. No, I think so. I think we're like.
I think we're calm.
We're constantly being fed like. What's the
stereotype of us not being calm?
Not even that. Well, I think we're just constantly given like these pacifiers, like so like I don't know, when you complain, you'll just get something that's not changing the system, but then it's just like shutting you up a little bit. And I think we're too accepting of those things. Like we're never gonna see real change if like we're given things that's just to shut us up kind of thing. And I think I don't know. I think. Oh, this is a different. Let me not say this one.
I think you're right. Like, if we don't say anything, the system is in place for us to just be kept down, and so we're standing up for our rights, really. And it can seem a bit aggressive. It can seem a bit uncalled for. But if we don't, we will just be subjected to the ills of the world. That we will be getting the brunt of the world. We're getting off it. So we're basically standing up for our rights. You may not like it, but because when you have privilege, you're unaware of the other. And so the other standing up may seem aggressive, but it's just like they're standing up for their right and what they deserve. And I think this is a good place to wrap up, guys. This has been a very, very great episode. And thank you so much for coming on again.